I would have to say they're very cheerful. For the most part, and they're very resilient, very adaptive. They live a very hard lifestyle. Half the time they never know where their next meal's coming from, or are they going to get a next meal. You'll get hurricanes coming through. We had two in a period of 2 weeks at one point, caused massive flooding, destroyed homes. I don't know about casualties. I didn't get to hear on that, but I mean, they live in a very dangerous place. If the weather doesn't get them, illnesses will. If that doesn't get them, then there's the militant factions that come out of the mountains and kill people just, because it's a very difficult place to live. Life is incredibly hard, and yet they are very cheerful. They're very optimistic. They're very happy. They look for the sunny side of things quite a bit. I was amazed at how resilient they were. You'd see the children playing, and they were just as happy as can be playing with bottle caps. They'd find games to play with bottle caps, something that we would throw away without even thinking about it. They would play with for hours. They had a blast with them. They would play with a matchbox. They would divide it into spaces and save spiders and put them in. They would play with spiders and let them crawl in their hand. They would try and get them to bite their fingers. Yeah, not my favorite thing, but it was amazing what they could do to find enjoyment in life. They didn't have to have fancy things. Not that they would have turned them down if they had the option, I imagine, but they didn't need them. And they were a very feeling and a very believing people. They're very religious. It's a predominantly Christian nation, but they're very big on living their religion, at least according to their understanding. They feel things very deeply. They're very deeply feeling people, and so it's really actually quite easy to help them feel the Spirit, because they look for it. That's kind of how they live their lives, according to the way they feel and the impressions they get and things like that. It's not a very secular society in that regard, where they live by logic. It's more along the lines of, does it feel right? Does it feel good? Does it ring true? And so in that respect, we had a lot of success as missionaries in bringing people to begin a testimony, and they're the most caring and giving people I've ever met to strangers. You'll be walking past somebody's house, and they'll invite you in for dinner just because you walked by. They'll give you the shirt off their back. They'll help you. They'll do anything they can to help you. They're incredibly kind and just very giving. There were many times where we would be walking by and they would invite us in for dinner. Sometimes we would accept, sometimes we couldn't because we were on our way to someplace else. But by and large, they were very, very kind, and they would watch out for us. They would warn us. They would do anything they could to help us. As I said, they believed that we were doing God's work. Even if we didn't belong to their church, they believed that we were serving Him, and that deserved respect. And so they were very respectful towards us, and they were just incredibly kind. I don't think you could meet a kinder bunch, at least in my mission area. I'd have to say, by and large, at least in that area, that was their defining characteristic. Bacolod is known as the city of smiles because the people are incredibly friendly and kind.